you guys? Ready?
All right, we're holding.
Right.
All right, and we're live. 3, 2, 1.
We're live. 3, 2, 1. Thanks everybody for joining us. I'm Jeremy Boren, God King of the Daily Wire. That's lowercase g, lowercase k, if anyone's keeping score at home. And I'm here with my pals, Michael Knowles, Andrew Klavan, and the one and only Ben Shapiro. And the point of tonight is that we're hanging out. We're watching the State of the Union. We wanted to invite you guys back to kind of our lives a little bit. The point of tonight won't really be talking about politics, although whenever we're together, we talk a lot about politics. And we're going to watch the speech, so probably a political thing or two will come up. But really, it's just a chance for us to engage with you guys and say, hey, come hang out in our office and enjoy a nice cigar, enjoy a little bit of whiskey, all things in moderation, my friends. And including in moderation, listening to the words of our president.
So, yeah, why are we here?
Yeah.
This is terrible.
If you're watching on Facebook or
exactly.
If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube live stream, we want you to go up, hit follow, hit subscribe. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and ring the bell. If you're on Facebook, turn on your notifications. You know, social media is kind of hard on us conservatives out there, and we could use all the help we can get getting our message to you. We also have the lovely, the talented Elisha Krauss. She's with us. She's going to be taking questions from you all night in the comments on whatever platform you're watching. Elisha will be curating those, and we'll kick it to her every now and then so that she can bring us your questions, and we can bring you answers. Actually seems like an overreach, don't you?
Yeah, that's not a thing.
Depends on at what point at night, you know. Yeah.
We will respond.
Knowles will stare blankly into the camera.
So, welcome to the Daily Wire State of the Union coverage.
Okay, so let's talk about something that's not politics.
The greatest
Ben didn't pay attention. We're going to play an opening graphic. Opening graphic.
Can we see
Are we good now? Okay, fine.
Now
so
we're back.
now we can talk about not
That was
politics.
exciting.
That was exciting.
Let me catch my breath and then go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, is anyone here going to see Black Panther? Because I've heard that it is actually against the law to criticize this film. This is.
I haven't seen it, but it's wonderful. It's really, really good. I really, really like it.
Yeah. It's just
really
like
like
Wonder Woman, right? Which is the greatest movie that has ever been made. Like the thing is, when I watched it and then it was pretty good, I still felt bad. I felt like I was still incomplete. It had to somehow rank it between Gone with the Wind and Citizen Kane.
Yeah. I like the women who cried when they saw it because finally a woman had won World War I. You know, it's about damn time, if you ask me. Exactly.
So yeah, I'm very excited about Black Panther. So that's ranking high on my list of priorities. I'm going to say something blasphemous. The trailer for Ant-Man is better than the trailer for Black Panther. I know we're not allowed to say this.
Okay,
you
like smoking, they're going to knock down the doors.
That is fair. There are those who would say.
You know, the thing about it though is they will find something to complain about. Like someone didn't win the right award for Black Panther. So I wonder not only who will get in trouble for saying something less than perfect about Black Panther, but then how they will complain about Black Panther.
Well, it won't win any awards, right? So Wonder Woman didn't win any awards, and that was the big thing. They didn't get magic gold statuettes. They're all very wealthy, and they're all very famous, but they didn't get little gold statuettes. So I've been handicapping the Oscars. You guys been handicapping this thing yet?
No.
I've seen half the movies.
I've been trying to get Drew to loan me his screeners. Drew is the only honest man in Hollywood. So Drew belongs to the Writers Guild, having accomplished books with words. And they provide him with screeners for all of the nominated films to get his opinion on them. And when you live in Hollywood, you pretty much live, especially when you're young and poor, on a steady stream of borrowed screeners from your pals. Like, I probably have a stack at various times in my life, hundreds of these. I mean, I never really watched them. I can't confess to that, but I have them. Drew, the one man in Hollywood who will not loan you a screener, when asked about it this week, said they find people hundreds of thousands of dollars for this.
You have to understand, each one of them starts with a notice from the FBI,
right.
and we know how honest they are. You know, saying, "Well, hunt you down." When my son was little, he asked if he could. He just borrowed without asking. He borrowed one of my screeners and took it to his friend's house and left it there. And I was like, "Get it back!" With the voice echoing.
That's when you lost all your hair.
Yeah.
Just have a full head.
Yeah.
So
But they do say they find you, and they watermark them. And
They even have an insurance policy if you lend it to one of your friends.
Yeah.
Really?
I saw. I don't know what it means yet. There were memoranda written about this. But
People
somewhere,
kick
yeah.
the door in
That's
and
right.
everything like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been doing the PC handicapping because
Okay.
this is how it
PC
works, right? I mean, so
handicapping.
last year Moonlight won because obviously gay, black,
That was the
underprivileged.
the intersectional movie of the year.
My
right?
God,
Right,
if
right.
somehow the kid had been transgender, they just would have they would have actually forced you with your eyes open like a Clockwork Orange to watch it. But this year it looks like to me, Get Out and Shape of Water are going to be the two front runners just from
Yeah.
that. So you and I have a significant disagreement about Get Out. I said on the show today I think it's a racist film. You think that it's not so much.
I don't care that it's a racist film because it's a horror movie. I don't see why a black guy can't use his racist paranoia to make a horror movie just like we all.
Okay, but the Stepford Wives is like a really anti-man film.
Right, but a good horror.
Right. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so we don't actually disagree on this.
And there is a moment in the book of the Stepford Wives, one of my favorite. It's actually one of my favorite moments in thrillers, where they come out and one sentence where he tells you that their children are happier after they become Stepford Wives. The children are actually happier and better behaved, and then that line
That's pretty
just
spectacular.
disappears. And you think, well, maybe it's worth it then, you know?
Okay, so I don't want to like monopolize the
No.
questions and the conversation, but now I do want to turn to this guy's speaking for the State of the Union.
This guy.
And the
President
President Trump.
to you, yeah.
And I don't want to repeat the sight of him when they announced the President of the United States and all the Democrats sitting, and then him clapping for himself as he walks out, just like he does for every speech. It's going to be spectacular. So I am looking forward to it. But I think we have to do a couple of things. One, we have to do kind of grades for year one.
Okay.
And then I think that we should also probably talk a little bit about all of the FBI scandal stuff, the memo gate and all of the rest of this, because and why don't we pick one of these to start with? You want to start the grades for year one?
Yeah, I think
And
we
then get to
probably
memo
better
gate?
go grades for year one, just so we can at least. I mean, we've shared some laughs, we've proven that we're friends, and now we'll put the theory to the test. Yeah.
All right. So
Grades
who
for
wants to
year
go
one.
first? Knowles, you get to go first. And that way,
Well-
if you say something wrong, I can fire
And
you.
by the way,
Is there-
I like the Bruce Wayne get up.
Oh, so this whole thing. Well, I figured we were just hanging out. You know. I actually forgot we were filming tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There's not a grade. Is there a grade above the A? Is there a grade above it? Is there some letter that I didn't know about in some ancient Aramaic or something? That I'm really pleased with it. I'm a fan. I'm a convert, to the Trump train. There
You have the
was.
zeal of the newly converted.
I do
as
have.
well.
I do.
yes.
Yeah. I'm like,
Like burn heretics, the whole deal.
I always have that opinion. The one mistake was the Sessions recusal, so that is why he doesn't get the.
Oh,
A.
that was the one
That was
mistake.
the one.
Oh,
the one
we
I'm
found
going
it.
to
We found
say.
the one
Yeah.
mistake.
I don't care all the other stuff, like the Stormy Daniels or whatever nonsense they dredge up. I don't care about any of that. The Sessions recusal was really.
You think he's right to
rough.
fire Comey?
Yeah.
You think he's
I agree
think
with
smart?
Chuck Schumer on that.
You think it's smart to fire Comey?
Yes.
Okay, and how about Charlottesville? Because those were the two big boo boos to me of year one.
All right. Charlottesville was inarticulate. He could have quit while he was ahead at various points of that. I think it was a little bit bungled. It's not enough, given all of the good stuff we got and his performance after the Charlottesville response. I'm not going to ding him on it to the degree that I would ding the Sessions recusal, but that was a flub. He could have done better. I'm willing.
Okay, so A from you. How about you?
A minus. I give him A minus.
A minus.
I definitely give him an A on the overall Trump year. I think it was an amazing year for conservatives. I think, you can't judge a president on what he doesn't do. You have to judge him on what he accomplished. And the judges and the deregulation, which I'm a big fan of deregulation, obviously, and the tax reform, the tax cuts, the economy, the constant dinging of the press, which I could talk about for an hour, which I think has been great. I think he has put the press on the defensive. The media now acts the way Republicans act around the media. Republicans act around the media like abused children. Abused children are always afraid to say the next thing because they never know when daddy's going to start wailing away at you. And that's the way Republicans have behaved around the media for the last 30 years. Now the media acts that way. They're even acting that way about the State of the Union before he's even said anything. They're saying, I don't care if he's presidential. He's not. Don't say he's president. They're really worried about what happens when Trump meets the public directly. The Trump of it all is a weird problem for me. The Trumpy, like rudeness, the bullying, the clubs, and the things that he says. Charlottesville, I was not as upset as you were because I thought he was actually trying to say something different than he said, but it was tone deaf. I can't separate the things that he does that I find appalling, with the accomplishments he's had. because I actually believe the left has succeeded in wrapping our conversation in this straitjacket of fear, so that millennials won't say what I'll say because I grew up in a different time. I'm a time traveler at this point from another age. I will say anything, and millennials won't say them because they already know that that's as much as their reputations, as much as their careers are worth. And he's broken through that. Do I wish he had broken through it with grace, wit, and style? You bet I do. Has he done that? No. But I'm not sure in this day and age that anything but the sledgehammer of Donald Trump, which really does still appall me and goes up my gentlemanly spine, I'm not sure that anything else would have accomplished.
You mean
what he's
the
accomplished.
Overton window?
Yes,
what you're allowed
he
to talk
shifted the
about.
Overton window.
Okay,
But
so
I have
what's
to-
nice
but-
about
but-
this?
But I
What's
have to
nice
give him
about
an
this?
A in terms of conservative.
Okay, so what's nice about this room is that it's divided right along the center.
Yeah.
So now from
So you
on
give them
high,
an
the
A-
God
an A
cave.
Did you
plus?
explain to them
Or
that
is
we're
that-
not really in the same room? In fact, we're just.
There's plexiglass right here. Yeah.
But from this side of the Mason-Dixon line, I would say, yeah, I mean, to the extent that what you're describing is the two Trumps. On policy, I think Trump has given us a terrific year. I think that we sometimes in conservative media have a tendency to overstate how good a year it's been. And I think that we right now in the conservative media have a tendency to understate any past Republican accomplishments of the last 50 years. And that bothers me. But even with that being said, it's still been a terrific year. We've gotten some great judges, great deregulation, some great policies. We got tax reform to whatever degree we got it. Meaning, I don't think that the tax reform that we got is as great as the tax reform that we say that we got. And I think that we've gotten tax cuts in the past, and we pretend that we haven't gotten them now because we want to elevate.
Reform like this.
We've gotten tax cuts in the past, and this reform, other than the corporate tax rate, is basically a
That's the
tax
whole
cut.
thing.
That's
That's the whole thing.
I mean, but it wasn't pitched that way. So
That's right.
So I agree. Listen, I really like the tax bill, but what it was pitched
Absolutely.
at and what it delivered are actually two different things. So what it delivered was corporate tax cuts. It was pitched as an individual tax
Right.
cut. It's not.
That's right.
But if you want to talk in terms of individual tax cuts, you have to talk about Reagan lowering the top tax bracket from 70% to 28.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I obviously.
But
go ahead.
yeah, I'll finish my grading here. My problem, where I have two issues that divide me from the gentleman from New York and the gentleman from Long Island, New York.
Wherever
It's its own
that's
country.
from, yeah.
And that is that I don't think that you can talk about what the president does and what the president says, because I think that the number one thing that the president does is say things. That the job
Certainly
of the
for this one.
the job of the president is as much the bully pulpit as it is any individual policy. Many of the things that we disliked about Barack Obama were rhetorical. They were the way that he never even pretended to be the president of the people in this room. He never pretended to be the president of Republicans. He referred to Republicans as his enemies, as the enemy of his constituents all through his tenure. I don't like that Donald Trump does that same thing where the left is concerned. I don't like the continuing polarization of America, not just along political lines, but along partisan lines. I think we can win political arguments. I don't know that we will win in the long run partisan arguments. I especially think that because of the age barrier that you're referring to, the fact that people under 40 reject the president in ways that people over 40 do not, I think that doesn't bode well for us in terms of our partisan success over time under the president. So with that said, it's hard for me to give him an A, even though on policy, certainly I would give the president an A, but I think that the things that he says matter. In the moment, it's fun to celebrate them. He's funny. He punches all the right people most of the time. I think sometimes we ignore that there are people take some friendly fire.
Yeah, no question.
Absolutely. But on the whole, it's fun to watch him be Trump.
He has put the bully into bully pulpit.
But I worry that there's consequences. Not only do I find it distasteful, but I worry that there's consequences. And that brings me to the thing that I have the most concern about in the era of Trump, and that is not what Trump says or does, but what Republicans and conservatives say and do in defense of Trump, which is where I think that we have the most liability right now. It bothers me that we can't say that what he does is good when it's good, but also say that what he does is bad when it's bad. I think that because we have become so reactionary and partisan, in my opinion, that we're losing credibility with anyone who doesn't already agree with us about the guy. We no longer seem like honest purveyors of an ideological, which we can discuss the nature of ideology, but we're no longer purveying an idea. I worry that we're only supporting a man, and I think that doesn't work well for conservatism over time.
Yeah, it's not traditional conservatism. I do think there is a segment of his base that is so rock solid that it's impressive. But that worries me too, that the fact that he has such a big personality.
It's when we talk about the character of the presidency, and does it matter that the president has a lack of character? I mean, there's no other way to put it. He is not somebody who you'd want babysitting your children. He is not somebody who you'd probably consider a personal friend.
Yeah.
He's not that guy.
Yeah.
And not to go ancient philosophy, but even Aristotle recognized that you didn't have to be a good person to be a good citizen. But it is also true that there are consequences to the nation for having a bad man, even if he is doing good things for you. And I agree with everybody and everything that's been said about policy. Obviously, I've said it directly to top members of the administration that on policy, particularly executive policy, I'd give him an A-.
You wore the hat after Gorsuch.
That's right. When he does good things, I cheer him as loudly or more loudly than anybody else. But when he does bad things, I think it is incumbent on us to speak up, and we don't. There's a tendency not to, and that's why when Mitch McConnell says best year for conservatism in a long time, or in 30 years, I will say in terms of conservative policy, I probably agree with that. In terms of for conservatism, there's two ways to judge the year, and one has not come in yet, right? So way one is we can judge it on the policy, and way two is what is the effect of that year, right? How are we actually going to, how does this play out over time? So let's say that he has made all the causes that I love and that you like and all the policies that we love. What if he's made those toxic, right? What if, like, to take an example that is close to my heart, obviously, I think that most Republican presidents would have done the stuff that he did, except for one thing where I give him 100% credit, which is the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem. Right. I think it takes a man who does not care about any of the norms to do something like that, and he's totally right, and good for him, and full marks. Now, what if his toxicity actually makes that an unpopular position, a much more unpopular position than it was before? And you've seen this in all of the areas where he's injected himself into culture. So, for example, the NFL fight, which I'm sure you guys celebrated and thought, "Oh, this is great." He's taking it to them. Okay, so I will show you why. I will tell you why I don't think it's great. Okay. The reason that I don't think it's great is not because I think he's wrong. I think he's 100% right. Obviously, the reason that I think that it's bad is that if you look at the opinion polls, and I know we're not supposed to pay attention to polls anymore, but I think they are reflective of something. Okay, if you look at the opinion polls on how many
they're
people
reflective
thought,
of fake news, Ben.
Right?
Yeah, they're sometimes reflective of things.
Cigar, and I just don't feel wise enough.
Oh yeah, you look much wiser now.
Thank you. Well, now,
Tell him he looks wise, Knowles.
Yeah, exactly. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I think that the problem is that if you look at the polls on the patriotism question on whether you should actually stand for the anthem or not, what you see is that before Trump intervened, 75% of the American public thought you're an idiot if you kneel for the anthem. After Trump intervened, 55% of the American public thinks you're an idiot if you kneel for the anthem. So he can win a personal victory because that's a popular issue, obviously. But if Hillary Clinton had said anything, let's say, God forbid, Hillary were president, and Hillary had said anything that lowered by 20% the number of Americans who thought it was bad to kneel for the anthem, we would say that's a terrible effect. Look what she's done. Okay, and this is the problem with him being personally toxic. He can say things I like, and now I actually have a stake in him not being personally toxic. Like if he were representing policies I don't care about, I wouldn't have a stake in his character. Then it'd just be like, okay, he's a bad character, he's doing crap I don't care about, who cares? But if he does stuff that I really like and I want to see victorious, and I speak to young people all the time, and I want to see young people fall in line behind a lot of the ideas that he's actually winning for, then he needs to be good at promulgating those ideas, not just getting them implemented. The president has power because the president's the president. But what happens in 2020? What happens in 2024? What happens when there's a poll that shows Republicans under the age of 30, 75% of them want Trump primaried in 2020. Okay, that's not good for conservatism.
But you've made a good point, which is that you now have stake in his personal success, his personally being likable. There are issues where we're so partisan now, we're so divided, that if Mitt Romney, the most likable Republican there is, if he intervened, half the country would oppose it, even if that weren't necessarily the case. Now, that looks delicious. If, the question of conservatism, I think, is one that we should talk about, because I do disagree a little bit.
So let's talk about it.
Okay.
But let's talk about it after we allow Ben to catch some air, and we go to Elisha, who's ready with the first set of questions. Elisha, we have you?
Hey guys, how are you?
Hi, Elisha.
Hey everyone, I'm Elisha Krauss, and to have your question heard, as Jeremy said earlier, you can just ask away in the comment thread on our live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or dailywire.com. We'll pull your questions and the guys will answer them live on the air. So be sure to direct your question towards either Michael, Andrew, or Jeremy, and if you really have to, So it'll be lots of fun. And don't forget, anyone, this isn't like the conversation where only subscribers can ask, but we do love it if y'all subscribe. Anyone can ask on Facebook, YouTube, or dailywire.com.
Right. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, again, we're going to hit this several times over the night because you probably have read the news about algorithm changes, about ad blocks, about shadow bans, about blacklists. We struggle to get our message to you. We want to be able to do that. You can help us if you're on YouTube. Hit subscribe for us. And while you're there, go ahead and ring that bell that ensures you'll get notifications from us. If you're on Facebook, be sure to follow us either on Ben's personal Facebook page, Daily Wire's Facebook page. And while you're there, you'll go into your settings and turn notifications on. That keeps the algorithm from being able to block our stuff from getting to you, and ensures that you'll be able to see whatever it is that we do for however long they allow us to do it.
Okay, so now I do want to get you guys' opinion on Memogate, because now we're going to get the battle of the memos and how this is all worked out. So I'm going to give my very brief take here, because I think everybody is prejudging the evidence before it's in, and it's making me absolutely insane.
No.
So number one, I think that it is pretty obvious that the FBI had been corrupted by Obama and by Hillary with regard to the Hillary investigation. Right? I think that it's pretty obvious that James Comey and members of the FBI were going to find her, they were going to exonerate her. But we knew that from literally the day that James Comey announced that he was not going to recommend any sort of prosecution of her, because he actually changed the verbiage of the law in order to let her off. I mean, I pointed this out the day that it happened, because as a lawyer, I'm looking at the statute and going, there's nothing in here that says you have to have intent, right? And he was actually adding an element to the law to get her off. So it's pretty obvious that something was going on there. But the leap from there to the Trump-Russia collusion investigation is itself fatally flawed. By the way, I don't think Trump colluded with Russia, but the leap to the investigation itself is fatally flawed and corrupt, I think is a pretty major leap, even if you think that the FISA warrant was based, for Carter Page, the Trump foreign policy advisor, was based on the Russian dossier. Carter Page had a FISA warrant against him in like 2014. The guy's dirty, and he's been dirty for a long time. And so the idea that we're going to jump from Memogate, that we're going to jump from Devin Nunes' memo about intelligence community bias to shut down the Mueller investigation, that's a leap that I don't actually see. And until we actually see the memo, we're not going to know. On the other hand, the Democrats saying that it's the worst thing ever to write this memo, we're all going to die, and it's traitorous, and no one can question the FBI, and all this, that seems over the top to me as well. But the pitch and tenor have gone so high.
Hold the fort. Bernie Sanders is in the chamber, ladies and gentlemen.
The man who could be president. The man who could be. There's still one weird
so much
way.
pudding. Bring him pudding.
Yeah, we have Democrats entering the chamber right now, getting ready for the president's speech.
What if they throw tomatoes at Trump when he walks in?
It would be the greatest television since our election night coverage featuring Ben laughing.
It's all reality TV. So can we actually do like the Japanese TV show Slippery Stairs, and he can actually come down the slippery stairs?
I'm just hoping the Democrats bring in illegal aliens and the Republicans bring in ICE. You know?
They were talking about this, yeah.
I was wondering, because they were saying they were going to bring in these illegal aliens.
Yeah.
If that is the case, mustn't we arrest and deport them? Isn't anything less a mockery of our national immigration regime?
Trump should actually just get a bunch of people to put walls around them.
Yeah.
Right? Just build a wall, the Trump wall around them.
I want to answer what you were saying. Because first of all, I absolutely agree that there are two issues here. One is the surface of it is the Hillary investigation, but the depth of it is the degree to which Barack Obama, with a supine press, turned the federal government into a Chicago-style Democrat machine. And the thing about a Democrat machine is it doesn't always break the law. It's not against the law to give jobs to friends and to sort of, ice the opposition a little bit. But it is dishonorable, and it's not really the way the federal government has run in the past. And Barack Obama definitely turned the federal government into a Democrat-style urban machine while the press sat by and asked him what enchanted him most about the president.
I mean, I agree, but do you think it's a problem? I mean, I do think it is a problem if the Republicans take those problems and then blow them up to encompass the Mueller investigation itself. Because if they do that, I think that they're actually moving into Democrat territory by taking the entire institution of the FBI and suggesting that it's so corrupt that we can't trust them about anything.
Trey Gowdy, to his credit, who has backed Bob Mueller all along, said that the Republicans are expert at taking good facts and using so much hyperbole that they ruin them.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
There's no question about that. I personally think that the way that the Russian investigation has been, the Russians had no effect on the election.
Agreed.
They have been bothering us on our elections for at least 20 years. That this whole investigation and the mistake of appointing a special counsel to investigate it.
That's Trump's fault. You want to talk about big mistakes in the first year? That was Trump's fault.
It's Trump's mishandling, but it is indeed the working out of what Hillary Clinton herself said would be horrendous if they did not accept the results of an election, and that is what it is. And I think that that's appalling. It doesn't mean that Mueller's not an honest guy. It doesn't mean that he's not going to come out with an honest report.
You could indict a ham sandwich.
You
They'll
can
get
indict a
something,
ham sandwich.
Of course.
I actually don't think there'll be an indictment coming down.
Yeah,
I think
not
Mueller.
even do I.
I think Mueller will
At the
actually
top level.
come out. Right. I think that Mueller is not going to indict. I think that Mueller will. The best that he's going to do is talk about how Trump has a pattern of obstruction. But having looked at the law, the chance of actually being able to indict Trump on that, we're actually in the worst available scenario, which is going to be Democrats use whatever Mueller comes up with as grounds for impeachment, and Republicans defend whatever Trump did in order to defend him against the impeachment.
He's always the most cheerful person. in the
No,
world.
because I think that's where this is going, right? We've gotten to the point where we will defend everything that Trump does. And this is because I think you can do both things. You can say Trump did a bunch of stupid things he shouldn't have done. And also, this is not impeachable.
You know,
which
one
I
of
think
my
is
favorite
exactly right.
one of my favorite websites is the Babylon Bee,
Yes.
which is a satire
It's
site
hilarious.
for
so good.
evangelicals, and
It's so good.
they had a story about major evangelical leaders talking about how Trump was only dating porn stars as a way of sort of converting them, missionary dating. Right?
Yeah.
And
It's a great man, yeah.
the problem for me with the moment that we're in history is I wasn't sure at first if it was satire. I thought we
Just
bend
like King
ourselves
David, just like King David.
just like we bend ourselves into such contortions to try to make what's wrong right. And the shame of it is we're also getting a bunch of things that are good.
Yeah. But I do think that Trump, like all of us, exists in time. And one of the things that I noticed about him.
Are we sure?
Yeah. He may just be an eternal present. But one of the
I mean, he
things
eats
that
nothing but hamburgers, but he's the healthiest person in America.
But that's because he's never wasted his life force on exercise.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Do you realize he has the same
Peter
health
O'Toole-
theories as Gwyneth Paltrow?
Peter
And yet
O'Toole-
somehow this is totally fine with us.
Peter O'Toole said the only exercise he ever got was carrying the coffins of people who exercise. Or maybe.
Here we go. I think they're about to announce Trump's
Oh,
entry
all
into the
right.
chamber. So
All right.
get ready for
We
the
have to listen to
Democrats to sit and not cheer.
Yeah.
You think they will not applaud? The
No way they're
President
going
of
to
the
applaud.
United
No
States?
way they applaud. No way they
This
applaud him.
can't be a good look for them in the long run. can
They
it?
care for their base. They figure Trump's at 40% approval rating. They have a midterm coming up. The chances that they're
Yeah, but
actually.
they haven't noticed that he's 40% no matter what they do, which is pretty impressive, actually.
Well, I guess that Ryan's just reading stuff. So I guess Trump. That looks like Trump exiting the White House. They're still driving him
all right.
over. How do I know what the White House exit looks like? Because I am too into politics.
And
The important
you have
Jeremy,
actually
too.
met Mike Pence, which
I have met Mike Pence,
He's one
yeah.
of my favorite people in the administration.
I like Mike a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I shorten
Vice
that to
President's
Mensch
great.
because I just think he's.
This is the thing that's so astonishing to me is that all the policy that's good that's been coming out. I give Trump full credit because he's at the top of the chain.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who are actually making the policy underneath him are the people who are actually making the policy underneath him. Like
But
Trump.
that's always.
Well, not always. I mean, the fact is that I think George W. Bush was a little more involved in policy than Trump is. I think even Reagan was more involved in policy than Trump is. Every so often, you'll see Trump speak about policy in an open setting, and Kevin McCarthy has to then direct him.
No, Trump
You're
is a
not actually
delegating
supposed.
guy, no question about
Like,
it.
well, when
That
when
was
he delegates,
diplomatic.
and when he delegates, that's great, and he gets full credit for that. But I think it's important for people who are his critics to recognize there are a lot of hardworking people who are around him. So even if you don't like Trump, the people around him who are trying to do the right thing for the country are actually trying to do the right thing for the country.
Well,
I think there are a bunch of those people.
And it's important for people on our side to realize that the same thing, which is a lot of the great things that you're getting out of Trump are the result of even critics of Trump.
Yes.
A lot of our pals who were very vocal in their opposition to Never Trump, which at this point I think we should just all admit that Never Trump isn't a thing.
I don't know. I
it was
think
a thing.
I
there's a
don't agree with
major
you.
stream on the right
Yeah.
that hates this guy.
Yeah.
In spite of all of the excellent.
And will-
I don't think there's a I don't think there's a
correct
major.
I would correct major.
That's
I don't.
right.
I don't think that's correct. I mean, because let's
a
look at the
leaders of
list.
the
Look at the
former
list of the
leaders of
people.
the
I
conservative.
hate to
No,
agree
look at
with
the
Knowles,
list.
but I actually
Look at the
do.
list. Look at the list of people who are quote unquote Never Trump who didn't vote for him. So I didn't vote for him in the general election, right? Jonah Goldberg
Right.
didn't vote for him in the general.
Bill
David French didn't
Crystal.
vote. But the vast majority of those people have been giving real credit where credit is due and defending him from stuff when he doesn't deserve it. right? They'll hit him, but there is a group, and I think it's relatively small.
Right.
I think you can name them actually, right? I think it's like Brett Stevens, Bill Kristol,
But
David
isn't that the trouble?
These are
You
people
can
who
name
have,
them. They're quite prominent people who were former leaders of the conservative movement.
but to suggest that there was this broad Never Trump movement that has continued past the election is not true. It's literally like 3 guys.
But can I,
Never
can
Trump
I finish?
existed in time,
Right,
too.
because
Finish-
Never
can I
Trump for me,
finish?
for most people who are Never Trump,
Yeah.
okay, Never Trump was I'm not voting for him. Once he's president, that no longer applies. I don't have a vote for him anymore. It's over.
Can I finish the thought though about the fact that Trump? You look at Trump like he's just this thing, but like all of us, he moves in time. He is a political neophyte. He does learn stuff. You can watch him figure stuff out. He is not the man he was when he took office.
Yeah.
He is
I think that's
actually
utter
a much-
nonsense.
Oh, he's a much smarter, much better politician than he was. He is
No,
and he's
no,
more
and look,
conservative.
a lot of the
not
mistakes,
true.
he made of staffing, the guys he fired, that was all at the beginning, and he started to figure stuff out. And the people that you're giving credit
You're
to
grading him
are
on a curve.
people he hired. I'm
he's-
not grading him on a curve. He is a neophyte. He is unlike other
Okay,
presidents.
the one thing
He
that
is
I
a
will give
guy-
him credit for
He is a
learning-
guy who stepped in out of a different business, and he has learned the business, which is what he said.
okay.
to do.
So I agree that he has learned which levers to pull. Okay, but that is not the same thing as saying that he learns on the job, as far as what the job. Here's the thing: you keep going back to, and this is 2 different visions of the presidency, and this is where I think the fundamental disconnect is. You keep going back to he's learning on the job. If you think that the job is purely you sign your name on this piece of paper and X happens, or you fire this guy or hire this guy and Y happens, then I agree with you. If you think that learning on the job actually involves growing into the office, like there are a lot of us who thought, maybe there was a report the night of the election, when I was laughing hysterically because this whole thing is incredibly absurd and so funny. But there was a report that Trump got the news that he'd won. And for a second, there was like a sobering moment where he realized he was president. Growing into the job, when we first talked about it, was not just he's going to learn which piece of paper to sign, or he's going to learn which guy to staff at State, or to listen to Mike Pence as to whom to staff at State. Right? Growing into the job was going to mean that he recognized, I'm now sitting in the office that was occupied by Abraham Lincoln. Right? I'm now sitting in the office that was occupied by Ronald Reagan and Calvin Coolidge and great men who sat in this office and helped bring the country together. And there he hasn't learned a damn thing. I mean, look at his Twitter feed. The idea that he is bringing the country together. Again, I like his policies, and I can like his policies, but let's face reality here. The country is as divided or more divided than it was the night of the election.
What you're saying is that his character hasn't changed.
Yes.
You know, somebody during my
Which is the part that always bothered me.
Which is
right. I mean, it wasn't like even his policies.
In my version of the conversation, somebody asked me why you and I saw this differently, and I gave an answer as we do on the fly. But after,
I think I saw this answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
after I went home and thought about it, I realized that I'm a novelist. My job is to observe stuff and to look at stuff. And I've always, and we've talked, you and I have talked about this a lot, is that I've always had a very tragic view of the world, and I've always thought like nations come, nations go. There's no question that our culture is at a low. Our culture has really gone downhill, and Trump is not only helped create that part of the culture, but he is a product of that culture. I wish he were Lincoln too. You know, I am sad that our culture.
I don't think it has to be Lincoln. I settle for the L.
I'm sad that our culture has become a fight between Jay-Z and Donald Trump. That makes me sad. But it is where we are, and in some ways, like it is a positive. Given that fact, it is a positive occurrence that a conservative voice has come out and fought the culture at its own level.
Who is a cultural figure himself.
Who is a cultural figure.
But if you fight the fight in the wrong way, you end up alienating a lot of the people who be your prospective allies.
But
and this is the problem that I have.
About
you're grading him against the alternative of Hillary being president, or grading him against the alternative of Jeb Bush being president.
Yeah.
And I'm grading him against the alternative of this is the greatest opportunity, unexpected opportunity that no one expected, right? I mean, no one there expected. Like I know people in the Trump administration, no one thought he was going to win. Okay, all of this revisionist history where they were sitting around and they had all the maps in front of them and they were playing the 40 chess.
I don't believe he didn't
it's just
want
not
to
true.
win. But
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think that I don't know that he wanted to win or he didn't want to win. I think that the whole thing was started off as a lark and suddenly he finds himself in the Oval Office.
I think he wanted to
and
win.
I think he wants to win because he likes winning. I'm not sure that he wanted to win because he wanted to be president, but I think that, that being the case, like if he could, let's put it this way, if he could put the win on his box and then go golfing for 4 years, which he's basically doing, that's great. And by the way, I'd be happy with that too, so long as all his policies get done. But I think that we have to grade him against, maybe it's early, maybe you're right, maybe it's a little early for us to grade him against the opportunity lost until we know what opportunity has been lost. But I fear that an opportunity is being lost in real time. And every time we have one of these moments, right, the State of the Union tonight, where he's going to come together, he says he's going to try and unify the country.
Yeah.
So he's going to come together. He's going to say a bunch of stuff out the teleprompter. I hate this whole thing, this monarchist crap, and that's really what it is.
Oh,
But
State of the Union's terrible.
it's such garbage.
What,
This idea
what,
that we all,
what are we talking about now? I don't understand.
The
what
State of
fact
the
of
Union.
the State of the Union.
the State of the Union itself is monarchist garbage. This idea of the great king walking in and the legislative branch applauds him. Go back to sending a letter to Congress the way that George Washington did. I'd be tweet out the State of the
I'll
Union.
tell you what,
I'm fine with it. But
I actually disagree with you about this. But
sorry to finish the
okay,
point.
let's finish the point.
So when every time he does one of these, there are a set of headlines the next day saying this is the day that Donald Trump became president. We've had at least 5 rounds of this, right? We had this after he had his big speech in front of Congress last year,
Yeah.
right, which was a very good speech.
Yeah.
Right. We had it after his inauguration. We had it like this was the moment that Donald Trump became president, and then within 24 hours, he's back to being Trump.
Yeah.
And imagine if that moment actually happened. Imagine if he gave this speech tonight, and then he didn't go on Twitter and start a bunch of fights with Jay-Z.
I would be
Right.
devastated.
Yeah.
But I think that you're joking, but I don't think.
I'm not joking.
Right,
I
and I
would be
think
very sad if he got on Twitter.
And I think that what you are saying is the problem, because I think so long as his base continues to cheer him when he does stupid crap, he's going to continue to do stupid crap, and we're going to cheer him because we're the base. But there's a whole world of people outside of us who don't cheer this stuff, who think that this disgraces the office of the presidency. And I'm willing to take the good along with the bad so long as there's good. But there could come a point pretty quickly here. I mean, again, not to cite polls, but right now he's losing in polls to Bernie Sanders in 2020, 57-40. Okay, that's not great stuff.
I'm skeptical of the polls.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of that kind of poll, yeah.
I'm skeptical of some of these polls too because it's not an actual election cycle. He lost the popular vote by 3 million. He's going to need to win 10 million additional votes from 2016 to 2020 if he wants to win re-election. Bush lost by 500,000 votes. He had to win 12 million additional votes to just beat John Kerry by a little bit.
Right.
That means that Trump is going to have to do better. There's just no question he's going to have to do better unless the Democrats make the mistake of nominating again. They somehow find the second worst candidate in history.
No,
and run that person.
Hillary.
They will. Yeah, they're
They
gonna
could bring Hillary in.
Hey,
God, their obsession with Hillary is insane. I mean, at the Grammys, are they out of their mind? They must be crazy.
They're
They must
out of
be
their minds,
crazy.
and she's out of her mind, and she is hitting the sauce. There's just
Listen,
Speaking up.
Yeah, exactly. Take a drink.
so you remember after Al Gore lost the presidency, after he won the presidency, after he lost the presidency? Yeah. You remember the beard? Like,
the beard.
the beard, yeah.
He got fat and he grew
That's
the
right.
beard. He
Grew the
gave
giant
Teddy
beard.
Kennedy 20 pounds.
Yeah. If Hillary could grow a beard, like, so
I'm not saying.
if she's hitting the sauce, I'm just saying if she's hitting the sauce. I know. I don't like having pity for Hillary, but
She's my fourth cousin once removed, so I feel a familial bond to her, but
So
she's really going off the deep.
Breaking news, the White House is announcing that they are going to have Trump, I like this, he's going to reverse Obama's executive order to close the detention center in the State of the Union. So he's going to reopen Gitmo, which never closed,
Which
by the
never
way.
closed.
Which never closed.
Can we get our cigars through Gitmo, or do we have to go to Havana
So
itself?
before the action starts, I'm sure people want to know about the cigars because
Yeah.
Michael Knowles is actually wearing a smoking jacket, and we've gotten zero
It's
questions
Knowles'
about
wedding
the
night
bubbles.
outfit, just sans pants. It's going to be
Ruin
terrible.
it for Elisa.
We are, in fact, all cigar smokers at the Daily Wire, except for young Mr. Shapiro, who has no vices at all. Really, he's insufferable. He's insufferable. But Michael and I made a trip down to Slave Island last year in search of the finest cigars. I don't mean we went down there to buy Cuban cigars. You'll hear people who say, "Oh, we love Cuban cigars." No. We were looking for like the cigars. Where
It
you're.
was we took a
treasure hunt.
weekend just to buy cigars. We flew down on a Friday. We flew back on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Virtually all we did on this whole island was go shop to shop to find the rarest cigars you could find.
Right. And Michael Knowles, I'm smoking my favorite cigar, a Monte Cristo Añejado. This is an aged, delicious cigar. I think we have
Churchill size.
Churchill size. I think Drew is smoking the Romeo Wide Churchill, which is a wonderful cigar. But the cigar of the night belongs to Michael Knowles, and it's because it is the Donald Trump of cigars.
This is the Donald Trump of cigars. I was very pleased that we got this. This is the Bejique 56. This is the top of the line of Cohiba, which is the premier brand.
So it cost you $120, but it's only worth 50.
This, yeah, well, it is. Well, there is something about this cigar. It is oversized, like some say our president is. Its market value is somewhat volatile. It is known for its yellow and shiny top, And
It exclusively eats at KFC.
it exclusively eats at KFC, and
it
it's
will kill you
respected
all.
by dictators. So.
Dictators love that cigar.
That's right. Which is very good for our country and the cigars.
The thing about listening to Knowles talk about cigars is it'll make the State of the Union sound really interesting.
Totally agree.
I love it.
is,
The Donald
it is
Trump of
great. You can
cigars.
see, that humidor is almost exclusively stacked with our Cuban.
That's basically, that's the bounty from Cuba. This is the executive offices here at the at Daily Wire headquarters. So we keep all of our cigars on proud display.
By we mean this is Jeremy's personal.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the nice thing about being the guy.
It's funny because I shoot my show from the broom closet of the Ben Shapiro show, and then I looked around. This is pretty swanky.
Yeah.
I would like
We unchain
as-
him every so often for an evening.
As a man who lives in Los Angeles, I just want to ask you guys two questions. One, is it true that they roll the cigars on the thighs of virgins? And two, what's a virgin?
So we're just waiting at this point for the president to enter. The speech is supposed to begin in about 5 minutes. That means that he's going to come in, and then it'll be. I really am fascinated to see
Me too, yeah.
who charges down for the photo with him. Like all the people in battleground districts. Usually, this is the way that it works. They sit everybody in a battleground district next to the aisle so they can get pictures with the president as he walks in, and then they can send that to all their constituents. The chances that any Democrat does that are below zero.
Right.
I mean, much better chance that one of them has a coconut cream pie, like a Marx Brothers film, and just plasters it in his face. Right, so we should do some prop bets here. I mean, like, what are the odds that someone shouts "you lie" or just shouts in the middle of the speech? Chance that someone shouts in the middle of the
I think
speech.
that the people that they've brought in, first of all, some of the Congressional Black Caucus are boycotting the speech. I think they're spending.
I mean, with Louis Farrakhan, exactly.
That's right.
So you don't want to take your brush line there.
Exactly, because they don't want to be with a bigot, you know.
But yeah, so I mean, the question is, how far after the speech is Bernie Sanders giving his? Because it takes him at least a year to toddle out of this hall, correct?
Do you think? Here's a question I want to ask you. When Trump arrived in Davos, I'm not usually surprised by anything, but I was really startled by the absolute awe with which he was greeted by these people who are supposed to have lost all respect for America. Everybody stopped cold. And I can't help but wonder if there's something about Trump, there's some star quality about Trump that overrides a lot of the stuff that
they're
the
all
polls
now
talk about.
because all these Richie Riches at Davos are now thinking, maybe I could be president of the United States.
But I actually think there's some truth to that. I mean, they treated him more like a reality TV star than they did like the president.
Uh-huh.
Like if Bush had come, they would just be like, "Oh, that's the president. I have to negotiate with him."
Yeah.
But Trump is no one in the history of mankind has been the center of attention like Donald Trump is the center of
he's
attention.
larger than life.
No question. He's larger than life, and the cameras have made him even larger than that. And so all these
Plus those
guys.
burgers, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean,
They
as I said, I mean, the greatest case against Trump-Russia collusion is the only thing Trump would possibly collude with is the management of Burger King. Like that really like the idea of Trump sitting there and actively figuring out a campaign plan to funnel information from the Kremlin to him, like he's got a secret closet at headquarters and he's talking with Putin. It's the most absurd theory of all time.
It's ridiculous.
But okay, so now we're getting
The First Lady
here's
is walking
Melania.
in.
Oh, she's wearing with the pantsuit, the white pantsuit. Okay, so now this is where Elisha's in the other room gushing over the.
Clapping.
Now
There they
we
are.
can hear it,
Excellent. I really wish
Okay,
that
nobody make a Stormy Daniels reference, guys. Don't do it.
I'm glad.
Definitely don't do it.
I'm glad they showed. They're trying to make a big deal out of that Stormy Daniels thing. It did have me worried that she was going to run away or something.
Yeah.
If we lose Melania, we lose.
I
the
know,
whole thing.
I know.
I love her.
She is great.
Yeah.
Okay,
and-
the chances of her running away from this marriage, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, she points. You know, they always talk
She's
about
done
Trump being
a great
honest.
job, I think. She's-
Okay, I'm not going to talk about the job that first ladies do, which is to literally stand there and not look terrible. That's literally their job.
Several who have failed.
Yeah, exactly.
Recent years.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then to run for president.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. But yeah, my favorite thing about Melania is that interview where they asked her if Trump would be with her if she weren't beautiful, and she said, "Would I be with him if you weren't rich?"
Yes,
It's
we
just
don't know if
spectacular.
we don't know if that actually
She
happened.
for sure said it. Come on. Oh, here we go.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
I want Steve Mnuchin to bring out his wife, and they'll just be holding the dollars as they walk out. It's so spectacular. Rex Tillerson, who doesn't know where he is. There's Steve Mnuchin. There's General Mattis, who's taking a break from flossing his teeth with barbed wire for the evening.
I sense a certain cynicism in this room.
No.
There's Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who's been let out of his cage for the evening by the president. Steve Mnuchin, fresh from producing the latest smash hit Justice League.
I liked it. So I do want to take
actually drooling. There
I do want to take this moment to say, if you are not a subscriber to the Daily Wire and you want this kind of rousing intellectual stimulation on a daily basis, head over to dailywire.com for only $9.99. You can get your very own leftist tears, hot or cold tumbler. You get the Daily Show from Michael Knowles, the Daily Show from Andrew Klavan, the Daily Show from Ben Shapiro. If, by contrast, you're simply looking for a great place to ash your delicious Monte Cristo añejado, head over to Louder with Crowder and become a member of the Mug Club.
That is the best word I've ever used.
It is a terrific mug.
Really good. It holds my ashes very well.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh, good. When we cremate you, we know where to put you.
Wait, a Crowder mug with Knowles' ashes in it. That's maybe the pinnacle.
Listen, if you said this in front of Steven Crowder, he would hold a 72-hour Mug Club telethon, and if he gets to 500 subscribers, he will personally cremate Michael Knowles.
I'm not going to plant that idea with Crowder or anything.
Yeah, exactly. He's outside with a match.
Okay, so yeah, we've got the rest of the. Now, here are all the cabinet officers. You have no idea who they are.
No.
There's Betsy DeVos. There's
there's Rick Perry.
Rick Perry.
a man who, if he had the brains, actually would be president.
Vladimir Perry. Vladimir Perry, who was president of the Republic of Texas for 30 years.
There is my spirit animal, Nikki Haley.
Nikki
walking
Haley,
in.
I love Nikki
she's
Haley.
spectacular.
Oh, man.
I love Rick Perry, though.
Rick Perry's pretty great.
He's terrific.
Betsy DeVos has taken it on the chin, and she's been terrific as well.
Yeah, she did a
in
great job.
education.
I've begun to feel, I keep making these jokes about Nikki Haley at the UN being like SM porn, like watching this beautiful woman slap around.
I can't watch.
And I feel
talk
guilty
her.
about that.
So I know sweet little Lisa's watching tonight, so I can't make any comments on Nikki Haley. But
she
you
is
can probably see my
she may be,
smoking
she could be
jacket
president. She
peeking
could be the
out
first
chest,
female
yeah.
president.
She's
Oh, yeah.
terrific. She's terrific. And
And she's taken this smear from the wolf implication.
it's just great.
So
That-
rotten.
That's trash.
she's
That
been
guy-
been great. Well,
what
that's
crap.
that just shows how garbage this whole left wing push on Me Too has been. It's all politicized. If they really cared about this stuff, they wouldn't be smearing Nikki Haley.
right.
Really
That's
gross.
exactly
really
right.
gross. So we're all just waiting, obviously, for the arrival of the president of the United States, and we'll see if I want Jets and Sharks. I want like a full-on dance fight in the middle of Congress, like canings in the center, and be like pre-Civil War.
There's Mattis, who single-handedly killed every ISIS fighter.
Exactly. That's exactly
I
right.
wonder when he has the greatest lines in American.
He does
history,
he not?
Does
Yeah.
he write them, or do they just?
Oh, no,
or
he's-
does he meditate.
I mean, so there are a few of them where they come out spontaneously, but he's got to write them, right? I mean, there's no
The guy's
way.
read like 7,000 books. Right?
Yeah,
That's
he
his
reads,
claim
he
to
reads a
fame.
lot.
He is one of those great soldiers who
That's
actually
right.
reads and knows. Yeah.
Right, when you average the number of books that he and Trump have read together, it's 3,500 each on average. So that's-
So this is a true story. I had the privilege of hosting our president not long
You
after he
did, that's
announced for
right.
the presidency.
That's right.
And he came out to LA and spoke, very gracious, spoke to a group that I ran at the time. And he actually said during his speech, "I'm the only guy in America who's written more books than I've read." Truer words. You know?
Well, he has read one book that I didn't write. We do know this at least.
That's
what
true.
is it?
What is
He
it?
has read
Yeah.
I'm really curious. I'm seriously curious.
Reasons to Vote for
Reasons to Vote for
Democrats.
Democrats.
No, what's the one besides the one that you didn't?
Yeah.
I didn't write it.
Because
That is.
Got it.
I-
Okay.
You're right.
Too subtle.
You
Too
didn't
subtle.
write. There's a little
It's
English,
a joke without
little
comment.
English
Without
grammar,
content.
yeah.
Right there. Okay, so, and now Paul Ryan looking awkward as he
As he always does.
As he always
He
does.
always does.
And
Am I the last person in America who likes Paul Ryan?
Oh,
I like Paul Ryan.
there you are.
Yeah, everybody
Oh,
likes
okay.
Paul Ryan,
Paul
but sort of
Newman
like
is really making us like Paul
listen,
Ryan.
everybody likes Paul Ryan in the same way they like Alfalfa and the Little Rascals.
I like Paul Ryan. I think he's in the wrong job, and I feel sorry for him
Yeah, I
because
agree.
he was in his dream job, and he was in the job that I dream of him having. And our party went into disarray, and he
Budget
saw himself
committee
as the,
chairman.
guy, the only guy who could
100%.
save
That's
him.
actually right. That's right.
Yeah.
And then there's Ben Carson, a man who the president once suggested was an insane person who stabs people randomly.
And a child molester. Wasn't he a child
And a child,
molester?
right?
Yeah.
He did suggest that he was a child abuser. Child
You know, we
molester.
were
Yeah,
bemoaning.
you have to love that
It's
about
been
America. You have to love that about
What the hell's going
American
on, guys?
politics.
I mean, let's just be real about this. Okay, we're sitting here, and it's 2018, and in a second, Donald Trump is going to walk out. The guy from The Apprentice is going to walk out and address us like,
the president of
like
the United
Macho
States.
Camacho, walking out there with two machine guns in either hand. It's going to be spectacular.
I do love American politics in the sense that you can call somebody.
Okay, let's see the
child
ovation.
molester.
Here we go. They're gonna.
Can we hear this? Can we get some?
President of the United States.
Hooray!
Announced by Skeletor. Okay, we need a wide shot, guys. Like, this is not useful, this close-up.
Yeah, really.
I want to know what the Democrats are doing. I don't care. Like, I know what Trump looks like. Muted applause from.
She's not too sure. I'm not
like-
sure. Let me hear the speech first.
Not a single wide shot. Come
I
on.
think they'll all clap for him walking in. He's the president. This is the
I don't know.
perfunctory.
They hate him, sir.
That's what I mean. That's a bad.
Okay,
That's a
drop
bad
it.
look. It's a bad look.
Yeah.
No, I think there are some. I like James Clyburn. Some of the people who are actually from the CDC will not stand up for him.
But they should give us a wide shot. You're right.
This is bad camera work right here. Come on, pull back, guys. Pull back. Okay.
No, they're-
See, there are a bunch.
there are a
There's
couple
some
of people in the
Democrats over there sitting down, or standing awkwardly but not clapping.
Yeah.
Which that's the in betweener, right?
Yeah, at least he's
stand but you don't clap.
Stand in the middle of the road, you're going to get hit by a truck.
And by the way,
You're not
I
gonna
keep
sit.
hearing from the people who knew Trump that he's very likable in person, so that maybe some of these people may actually like him
I mean,
more than they.
from the ones who have not been reduced to smoking
Ashes.
piles of ash before him.
Jim Acosta did not give me that.
I mean, I have neglected.
Oh, look, here we go.
See, there
have
it is.
the
I told you.
Democrats
See, the
standing
angry.
cross-armed.
Yeah, exactly. There it is.
Feinstein,
Angry women.
not
Nothing Americans love more than a scold. Than a scold.
That's right.
As proved by President Hillary Clinton.
That's right.
There's the Right Honorable Louis.
Louis Gohmert.
there he is.
I love that
I
guy.
know.
There's Kevin McCarthy just trying to guard Trump from being whispered to by Chuck Schumer. Yeah, a lot of Democrats sitting down, not happy.
Dick Durbin giving him a shake.
It really is low not to stand for the
It
president.
is. I
during-
agree. It's a
you should have stayed
and
home.
it's a bad look. It doesn't.
I honestly, I hate the State of the Union address so much that any drama that's added, I'm in favor of. I hate this thing so much.
I don't fault people for staying home. I love that Scalia never used to go to
Yeah,
this
it's great.
thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
great.
it was a charade.
The reason I like the State of the Union, though, is some people watch it, and it is the one time.
Yeah.
You forget. We forget
Because
that,
we're in it all
that
the
a lot
time.
of people don't know what's going on. They have no idea what's going on.
Donald Trump doesn't know. What's
No,
going on.
of course not. Right. But he doesn't have to know. 'Cause he's just the president.
What if he actually does just read the memo? Like the
Oh,
State of the Union address
that's
comes up and he
so
just
glorious.
reads the memo.
I wish that he would give
on,
us that kind of a
dream on,
performance. tonight.
Look, and I do love that he
He's
claps for himself.
lost himself.
He gives himself the clap.
Oh,
I didn't mean it the way it came out.
That would actually be an interesting biological, anatomical effect.
So we're going to talk a little less and let everyone at
Yeah.
home actually hear some
All
of the president's address. I can't promise that we won't mouth off a little. It's what we do. It's what we do.
Yes, sir.
you really
No,
can't
see, look at all these Democrats.
Little
sitting
bit
right
down
there.
the road, yeah.
You stand for the president, right?
Right.
I do look at it. I love this. I love that he's like walking around clapping for himself like it's a campaign rally. It's fantastic. This is what you gotta love about Trump.
Yeah.
The guy has no sense of place or time.
No,
as
no,
you say,
yeah.
and there's something charming about it.
There is.
Yeah, there
it's like a guileless.
There is
yeah,
a
there's
certain
something
innocence
really,
of. I know
yes,
there is
I really
a weird,
like it,
a
yeah.
weird innocence about it.
Pelosi not clapping but standing.
What if he actually just starts ripping on Andy McCabe's wife in the middle of the speech? I'll appoint him president for life if he brings out Steve Bannon in a GIMP mask.
You're too easy.
That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
I will say that on the day that,
No, we won't say this.
no, we won't. So we're going to have
only
viewing
subscribers get that.
we're going to have the staff pop up a little popcorn for us.
Yeah, a little
and,
food in here. Come
Get a little
on.
food in here, and we'll watch the speech. And hope you enjoy the speech too. Be sure and hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Follow us if you're watching on Facebook. Send us a comment or a question. We'll be glad to answer them. Here's the president.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
He's never gotten over this.
having deja vu. We're in a similar place.
Oh God, life is so funny. Come on, guys, come on.
Now the real president.
Lincoln. And Lincoln smiles down from heaven on the country he preserved.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, the First Lady of the United States, and my fellow Americans. Less than 1 year has passed since I first stood at this podium in this majestic chamber to speak on behalf of the American people and to address their concerns, their hopes, and their dreams. That night, our new administration had already taken very swift action. A new tide of optimism was already sweeping across our land. Each day since, we have gone forward with a clear vision and a righteous mission to make America great again for all Americans. Over the last year, we have made incredible progress and achieved extraordinary success. We have faced challenges we expected and others we could never have imagined. We have shared in the heights of victory and the pains of hardship. We have endured floods and fires and storms. But through it all, we have seen the beauty of America's soul and the steel in America's spine. Each test has forged new American heroes to remind us who we are and show us what we can be. We saw the volunteers of the Cajun Navy racing to the rescue with their fishing boats to save people in the aftermath of a totally devastating hurricane. We saw strangers shielding strangers from a hail of gunfire on the Las Vegas Strip. We heard tales of Americans like Coast Guard Petty Officer Ashley Leopard, who is here tonight in the gallery with Melania. Ashley was aboard one of the first helicopters on the scene in Houston during the Hurricane Harvey. Through 18 hours of wind and rain, Ashley braved live power lines and deep water to help save more than 40 lives. Ashley, we all thank you. Thank you very much. We heard about Americans like firefighter David Dahlberg. He's here with us also. David faced down walls of flame to rescue almost 60 children trapped at a California summer camp threatened by those devastating wildfires. To everyone still recovering in Texas, Florida, Louisiana, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, everywhere, we are with you. We love you, and we always will pull through together, always. Thank you to David and the brave people of California. Thank you very much, David. Great job. Some trials over the past year touched this chamber very personally. With us tonight is one of the toughest people ever to serve in this House. A guy who took a bullet, almost died, and was back to work 3.5 months later. The legend from Louisiana, Congressman Steve Scalise. I think they like you, Steve. We're incredibly grateful for the heroic efforts of the Capitol Police officers, the Alexandria Police, and the doctors, nurses, and paramedics who saved his life and the lives of many others, some in this room. In the aftermath, yes. In the aftermath of that terrible shooting, we came together, not as Republicans or Democrats, but as representatives of the people. But it is not enough to come together only in times of tragedy. Tonight, I call upon all of us